Every Wednesday we have a 1 hour rolling session before technique training. So in this case, to mean background, I go for the samurai to rear naked choke, which works really nicely. Then I try to do it again moments later, and I crash on my acromioclavicular joint, and it cracks like dry wood on 3 different places. So then 12 hours later, I had a private session with Tyler, who was up, as I mentioned before, to graduate to blue belt. And so I'm under pain, but I promise him to check him. So that's what happened here. Roll with him for 1 hour to test his jiu-jitsu. It's the third time he came to my place. So first time was a couple of weeks, and then second time he was here a long time too. And so I gave him lots of homework to do, and he did actually. So here's already a really wicked tight rubber guard, and works out. He trains every day 3 hours jiu-jitsu and 3 hours Wing Chun Kung Fu. So anyway, so I'm working him a little bit, taking it not too seriously. I'm under excruciating pain, but when I'm rolling, after 5-10 minutes, I'm not feeling it really anymore. Probably everybody who's rolling has the same experience, I guess. And so, go through some of the moves, put myself in positions. That's how I do it usually. Usually I roll 2 hours with students who are up for a belt or higher belt. So in this case was our first hour. I bait him a little bit. He thinks I go for leg lock, but I actually just wanted to set up a reverse triangle. As you can see, there's not much space in my 6 square meters, so I have to be aware of my surroundings not to injure myself or my students. He goes for a nice donkey guard. I right away take his base away and turn him. He tries to protect his feet, but it's easy to open up, and he falls into a toe hold. So now I try rubber guard, but it was very difficult for me because of my right shoulder. He just had to touch it, and I wanted to scream for my mommy. That's how I was hurting. Well, anyway, so I'm setting it up, but I feel it's not really tight, so I regrip. Very important. You always have to make it tight as possible. I realize I'm over his shoulder and under his elbow, so it's TP time. So the next, I try to go for something. I slip for a second, and he gets his knee in like a sniper, and he gets a beautiful, beautiful setup for a triangle. So he's on my right shoulder, and I can barely take the pressure. I try to pressure in front, and he works a perfect pedicle angle, gets a perfect triangle in, goes under my leg, gets the angle right, and this is Tyler's David against Goliath moment. Yes, that was a tap. Okay, I put myself in the same position again. Actually, it was the second round after I got tapped. So as you can see, I work my forearm pressure in his neck, try to grip crosswise his shoulder, go to the side, limp to the side, and go for a straight ankle lock. He gets out, but this time I stay on him. I block his hip and his leg so he cannot grab me out. Put in a dast choke, and he tries to defend it, but I readjust and cover with my body, and he is out. So this was directly after I got tapped, so I go a little bit faster. I want to get even with him right away. And this time I got a little bit more determined. I go under his elbow again, I'm over his shoulder, so it's TP time. So this is actually a pretty nice angle, so you can see it's a perfect TP. And I go slowly, I start to pressure. I could have gone another minute, and he almost passes out. And so now my shoulder cannot take it anymore, so I will do most of the time now leg locks. And that's a good part. If you have a leg lock game, doesn't matter if you have problems with your elbow or your shoulder, you have still a chance to tap even higher belts. So he tries to go for De La Rive a little bit there, but I don't like it. And so I take a straight ankle lock and just go for a sock lock, but it's actually a setup. So I get my knee in, and so I go straight ankle lock. Kicks me in my face, but I'm used to it. One of my students already broke two of my ribs. My second finger cannot really bend, need an operation. Was one of my students as well, but hell, right? What you gonna do? It's not table tennis. So I realize camera is running, so I give him the nice middle finger. And I like this one. So change his leg to the other hip. I have an inverted one, which is really tight. It's back in the day. Bas Rutten showed me this one in 1999. I had the pleasure to work together and had trainers like Bas Rutten, Oleg Tataros, Marcos Ruas, Eric Posen gave me some nice pointers for my leg lock game. Josh Burnett, good friend of mine. I joined two of his seminars and we trained private as well. And this obviously helps with your leg lock game. So now, as you can see, taking it a little bit more seriously, tries to go for arm drag. I turn right away in his arm drag and I try to pull a New York. Paid attention, he's very explosive. It's a good pressure game too. So he tries to do some Wing Sung with me. That's one of my favorite passes from Butterfly. Control his hip. So I kind of bring his knee to his chest. I try to do some pressure game, but my right shoulder just doesn't want to do it. So I will speed it up. I just try to wrap him up like a snake in a minute. Try to go circular. So already lots of pressure on him right now. He's doing a really good job defending. His arm is over cross, and so I give him a nice bear hug. The fight is going to be over, or it's going to be a tap. Yeah, becomes a little bit boring, but heel hooks are king, right? So I try not to reap his knee because we're talking about IBJJF rules. There are no heel hooks legal, I know, but we do them anyway. But obviously we try to be as careful as possible. This is only 2 days away from his competition, so it's Thursday, and his competition will be on a Saturday. He goes my wrist. He has lockdown, he grabs my wrist, and I just move my hand further and further up my chest opposite. So it's already really tight for him, so he has to release his lockdown in a second. And I just stay on it. Bring my knee in a second, and I will have tight guillotine choke.